And here we come. Here we come. I got the coffee going. Let's see what's going on here. And here we are. Is it working? Let's see. On here. Yeah, it's working. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Oh my gosh, I got so much for you today. I just can't even, I don't know where to start. But I'm going to talk about Dr. Augustine Fu, and he and I have encountered each other because we have a similar interest in digital advertising fraud. And so let's get over and start digging in. It's going to be well worth it. You're really going to want to get the articles because there's just a host of articles that I'm not going to be able to cover most of the detail. But this is the sort of thing that Dr. Fu is writing about. He says, to be more clear, it was not causal. The sales happened at the same time you were running a digital marketing campaign. The fact that sales happen when you run a digital marketing campaign does not mean that the digital marketing campaign caused it, especially when you're using digital advertising companies as your attribution source. What is in their best interest? Their best interest is to make everything look like it's caused by digital. So when you do the mailing, when you get out there and do the mailing, and somebody visits your website and gets a cookie and doesn't buy yet but comes back later, guess what? Nothing is going to get attributed to direct mail. Now, you may see a bump in sales, although that's even hard to see because people are mailing such small quantities these days. I mean, when we used to drop $500,000 on a particular day, yeah, you'd see a bump. You'd always see a bump. But, people have been so in love with digital for 25 years. I warned them. I've been warning them for 25 years. But this is just beyond even my expectation. So what happens when digital, we've got more than 20 people registered for our meetup. It's at 2 o'clock on Thursday. I encourage you to go over to WDMA, subscribe so that you can get these articles. Every day I post the articles that I talk about, even if I don't get them in depth. And also register for the meetup. Mary England up at Amadon Graphics, a really great printer. It's been around forever. Says these things are a gold mine. You get to meet people you would never meet any other way, no matter how many big conferences you went to. And it's people wanting to help people, and that's the great part. Mostly Midwesterners. But every now and then we let somebody in from England or from the West Coast or East Coast. So I think you'll really love it. Get over there and register so we know who's coming. Okay, back to Dr. Fu. Okay, and so let's get over to this article. This is a really good one. Aussie media to shutter after allegations of fraud and other misdeeds. Amazing articles. And Dr. Fu says there's hundreds of sites like this. Not to the same extent, not with the same publicity, but they just closed like this month. Right? They've been claiming for years that they had 50 million regular visitors and 20 million newsletter subscribers. Yet I've never heard of them. How is that possible? It's like nobody ever quoted them. And apparently they were trying to do some real legit journalism. I don't know. It's hard to say. I read a long article about working at Ozzy. Let me tell you what it was like to work at Ozzy. It was fascinating. But the funny part was that he started out, he said, in 2007, he was in Tel Aviv and a 3-card Monte dealer was encouraging passerbys to find the red. And he lifted and dropped the cards from left to right. Later, over drinks, I asked the dealer to show me how the grift worked. He looked me straight in the eye longer than I then felt comfortable before he hit me with, no one who knows anything about life plays this game. That's my message for you digital advertisers. Now, does that mean you need to go put out a catalog? No. Let's get this straight. Direct marketing is the method for establishing causal relationships between your ads and what happens. It's designed with testing in mind. It's designed for a long-term testing progression. It always works because we always get smarter. And I've got case study after case study. And oh, by the way, never mind LL Bean and Hammacher Schlemmer and Land's End that just keep chugging along. You know, is a mystery? You don't see them having too many TV ads or digital ads. I'm sure they do some, but they know that it's very, very difficult to track the effect of an ad when, I'll give you an example. Okay, let's say that your business is in like Land's End is in Dodgeville, and the Little League comes to you and says, would you put up a sign that says Land's End on our little baseball diamond? It pays for the drinks and the hot dogs for the teams afterwards. And Land's End says, oh, sure, how much is it? And they say, it's $1,000. Okay, now, and then I ask you, what's the causal impact of that ad? Nothing. It gets lost in a sea of other stuff. It's not an ad. It's a charity contribution. It's like, you know, but it's nice to do, and people in town, a lot of people work at Land's End. I bet they do have I would love to hear from somebody at Land's End. Do you put a sign up at the local Little League ballpark? And I hope you do. But you're not going to see the causal impact of that. You know, you go to the Brewers games and you'll see Harley Davidson, or you'll see, you know, something else up there that's a local company. Do they get any business from it? Maybe. You know, every now and then they might. But this is the trouble in digital. It used to be bad. Back in the 80s, we would try to explain this to television advertisers. That it's very difficult to track back. You run an ad, how much business did that generate? It's very difficult, even then. Now, you could say, you know, ask for Joe Smith for one ad, and you couldn't probably, you know, it's hard to run the same ad at the same time with different creative or different offers. You could do some things and you could make it work, but it was logistically challenging, even in the world of television, even within a test market. So the truth is, but mail was different. We could mail every other household. We could have an incredibly statistically valid sample set for both of the test values, whatever it was. Was it the ad? Was it the price? Was it the headline? And we could identify the exact impact. Further, nowadays, we can still identify the causal impact. All you do is not mail some of your target audience. Say, okay, we're going to mail this many. We're going to not mail these. We're going to see how they do in a downstream actual purchases and profitability. Do this all the time, and we prove. I've never seen it not work. Well, I saw it once, but that was because the company that did the matchback botched up and missed the top 3 cells of the customer file. They only missed 1.8 million in sales. I won't say their name, but we went back and looked at the sales, and we knew where they came from because we'd done the pull, and there were no orders from those 3 cells. So we knew that they did something wrong. Anyway, so we saved the game. But anyway, so you know what happens. This is an incredible article. This is by Dr. Fu from January. He says, let me just read the beginning of this. When P&G turned off 200 million of their digital ad spend, they saw no change in business outcomes. He's got footnotes on all this. When Chase reduced that 200 million, they stopped. It's like a holdout test, except not as well structured. Chase reduced their programmatic reach from 400,000 sites to 5,000 sites, a 99% decrease. Right. It's 1% of the sites they were using. They saw no change in business outcomes. Uber turned off 120 million of their digital ad spend, and they saw no change in the rate of app installs. When big brands stopped spending on digital ads, nothing happened. Even further back in time, 2015, a large medical device company turned off half its digital ad spend and saw conversions stay the same. 2012, eBay turned off their paid search ad spend and saw no change in sales from these sources. Okay? But you think, oh, it's only relevant to Procter and Gamble, who does $1 billion with advertising or something. No. Dr. Fu has these anecdotal stories. I don't know where he got them. These are not footnoted. But maybe he'll tell me. When a small business owner doing Facebook advertising turned up the Facebook Audience Network, he saw the number of ad impressions, impressions plummet by about 90%. He saw the number of clicks drop dramatically. That's the kind of stuff you foo-foo advertisers like to look at. And I don't mean that as any disrespect to Dr. Fu. But it's like you're going to learn it from one of us or the other. Okay? You're just doing fluff. But you love the big numbers, right? And their cost per thousand went up. They were spending more per impression. But the sale, this is meaningless. You know, it's meaningless if you understand even the most basic principles of direct marketing. Come visit WDMA. You might find something there you like. But the sales of his music and merchandise went right back up, despite getting far fewer clicks and buying 90% less quantity of ad impressions. Further, the discrepancy between the clicks reported by Facebook advertising and the number of arrivals on his website reported by Google Analytics vanished. The number of arrivals on his website started to match the number of clicks reported on his Facebook ads. A small business owner turned on a Google AdWords campaign and immediately saw an increase in traffic coming to their site. Any marketer would be ecstatic at how well and immediate the digital ads worked. Right? Well, she was not. Looking at Google Analytics on her own site, she saw 118,000% increase in Android devices coming to her site, but not much else increasing. Those Android visitors were mostly bouncing. They'd come and then they'd leave after a few seconds. When she unchecked the checkboxes that allowed ads to run on search partners and display network, she saw the Android traffic mostly vanish. Did this harm her e-commerce sales? No. Dr. Fu, the article that triggered all this in me was he had an article about how Google was now actually checking to see if merchants who advertised had any inventory. I don't know how they're doing it, but he said, and I wrote to him, and I said, I don't understand this. Google, I'm starting another company. I'm helping to start this thing, and we don't have inventory yet because we don't have a product yet, but we're working on it. We're in our third prototype now. But I was wondering if I had to somehow register with Google to let them know that I'm real. Not that I care that much. But anyway, he said Google has not been enforcing their own rules about vetting advertisers. So they don't vet the traffic, they don't vet the merchants, and it's like all a 3-card Monte play. And they're all in it. They're all dirty, if you ask me. They've been telling us for decades how great it is, how all the clicks in the world are so great, that there's some correlation between the two. And if it doesn't seem to be working, spend more money. And we're hearing from, like Mike Gunderson, last time we had a meetup down here. He was on, believe it or not. And Mike said, we're getting calls from big brands, and they're saying no matter how much we increase and the traffic and the clicks and all the rest go up, we're not seeing a bump in sales. It's because it's fraudulent. It's just fraudulent. Digital is fraudulent. And to the extent that maybe they could fix it, why would they? Because nobody's leaving. Their ad revenues just keep going up as you people suck at the trough of cheap clicks. Well, anyway, marketers are obsessed with big numbers. So if this rant makes its way somehow to a CFO, I'm telling you, CFO, join the WDMA. Spend the $100, $200. Become a member. Give me a call. Let's talk. And, I don't have any sympathy for marketers that have been selling this, trying to sell this to their CFO and how they need a bigger budget. I don't have any sympathy for a marketer that doesn't know what the causal impact is of their advertising. If you don't know what the impact is of your advertising, get a different profession. Become a dog walker or something. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart. Get over to WDMA. We got lots of content over there. The well never runs dry. You can't even keep up with it. Have a